How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, July 1st, 2021. I'm James Sims, and with this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review all the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. And of course, I'm going to preview everything going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Because the Stanley Cup Final is underway, I'm going to start there. And yesterday was game 2 of the final series of the NHL as the Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending Stanley Cup champs and the current Central Division champs, hosted the Montreal Canadiens, the only team to come out of the North Division, the only team to play from Canada and the United States this year. And in game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, the Tampa Bay Lightning were able to beat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1 to pick up a 2-0 series lead. The first period would remain relatively scoreless, but the Lightning were able to score a couple in the they were able to score a couple in the second period. They scored their first goal from Anthony Cirelli, and then Nick Suzuki would tie it up from the Montreal Canadiens in that period. And then almost at the end of the period, the Lightning would score their second goal, and then they would score a third goal in the third period from Ondrej Palat. With this win, like I just said, the reigning Stanley Cup champions Tampa Bay Lightning now hold a 2-0 series lead over the Canadiens, and right now they will hold this momentum as they go into Game 4 of this series. Or Game 3, I'm sorry. Game 3 will be tomorrow on NBC as the Montreal Canadiens will host the Tampa Bay Lightning for Games 3 and 4, just to give a sense of what the series is looking like. So that is what the NHL is looking like as we are still in the playoff round, as only 2 teams are competing. Jumping out to the NBA Conference Final round, the amount of teams that were competing for the championship in the NBA dropped from 4 to 3 as the second seed in the Western Conference, Phoenix Suns, were able to eliminate the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers and punch their ticket to the Western Conference Finals. In Game 6, the Suns would end up beating the Clippers 130 to 103. The Suns will go on to outscore the Clippers by 9 points in the first half, and they will go on to outscore the Clippers by 18 in the second half to run away with this win for the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers in their final game of the 2020-21 campaign. Their leading scorer was their starting small forward, Marcus Morris Sr. He finished with 26 points and 9 rebounds in 42 minutes as he shot 9 for 17 from the field and 4 for 6 from the line. Also in their starting lineup, their elite starting point guard Paul George would finish with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 6 for 15 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the foul line. For the second seed Phoenix Suns, their leading scorer was their elite starting point guard Chris Paul. The 11-time All-Star would finish with 41 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals in 35 minutes as he shot 16 for 24 from the field, 7 for 8 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line on the night. I thought it was worth noting that this was a very elite performance from Chris Paul, probably one of his best ever in his lifetime. Alongside him in the Suns starting lineup, their elite starting shooting guard Devin Booker out of Kentucky would finish with 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in 42 minutes. He would shoot 10 for 26 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, and he would make his only free throw attempt of the night. And with this win, like I just said, the second seed Phoenix Suns, the team that finished the season with the second best record in the NBA, will be the only team from the Western Conference to punch their tickets into the finals, especially considering that they weren't even a team that made the Western Conference playoff seed, or they didn't make a Western Conference playoff seed last year. I would consider that a considerable improvement from last year. And following this loss, of course, the LA Clippers are going to have to focus on their offseason and work on next year. But looking at what's going on the other end of the conference final spectrum, it will be Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Milwaukee on TNT at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tonight, as the 3rd seed Milwaukee Bucks are going to host the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks. Like I said, as of right now, because I haven't said it before, the series is tied at 2, so now this series is a best of 2 to determine which team will go to the NBA Finals and face off against the Phoenix Suns. And because the Western Conference Finals is over, the next game of basketball will happen on Saturday, and I'll get to that on Saturday. But jumping out to what's going on the baseball diamond, starting off in St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks. They were able to pull up a 7-4 win at home, scoring 6 of their 7 runs in the first 5 innings. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start and the loss would end up being given to Riley Smith. Riley Smith would allow 4 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. With this loss, Riley Smith is 1-4 on the year. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Christian Walker, would end up going 3-for-5 with a run. Their third baseman, Asdrubal Cabrera, will go 2-for-3 with an RBI as well. For the St. Louis Cardinals, the start and the win would go to Kwang Hyun Kim. He would allow 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, Kwang Hyun Kim is 2-5 on the season as a starter, and the save would go to Alex Reyes, their closer. He would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out a batter, picking up his 20th save of the season. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, would finish 3-for-5 with an RBI and a run. Their left fielder, Tyler O'Neill, will go 3-for-4 with an RBI and 3 runs. And then their future Hall of Fame catcher, Yadier Molina, will go 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 40-41. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central, as they have won their last 3 games. They've won 4 of their last 10. They now currently trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 8 games in the division. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 22-60. That is the worst record in the National League West. That is the worst record in the National League Wild Card, and at the moment, that is the worst record in the MLB. As they have now lost their last 4 games, they've lost 8 of their last 10. They now trail the San Francisco Giants, who have the best record in the MLB currently, by 29.5 games, to show you how big the gap in the MLB is. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers hosted the Chicago Cubs, the team that's competing with them at the very top of their own division. And in this matchup, the Brewers would beat the Cubs 15-7. They would go on to score 5 runs. So the Cubs would score all 7 of their runs in the first inning to start off. The Brewers would score 5 in the second inning to shorten their deficit to 7-6. They would score 8 runs in the 4th inning to double the Cubs score to go up 14-7, and then they just scored another run in the 6th. For the Chicago Cubs in this wild scoring game, the start was given to Jake Arrieta. He allowed 6 runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss will go to the Chicago Cubs' second relief pitcher, Rex Brothers. Rex Brothers would allow 3 earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched as he struck out 2. He would blow his first save of the season, and with this loss, Rex Brothers is 2-1 in 2021. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Patrick Wisdom, would end up going 2-for-2 with 2 RBIs and a run. Alongside him, the only other player with more than 1 hit was their third baseman, Eric Sogard. He would go 2-for-4 with an RBI. With this win, for the Milwaukee Brewers, on the other hand, the start was given to Aaron Ashby. Ashby would allow 7 runs in 0.2 innings pitched, as he, of course, did not get the decision. The decision would go to the win would go to the Brewers' second relief pitcher, Trevor Richards. Trevor Richards would go on to allow no earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this win, Trevor Richards is 3-0 for the Brewers. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Luis Urias, would end up going 4-for-5 with 4 RBIs and 3 runs. He hit his 9th and 10th home runs of the season yesterday. Their second baseman, Jace Peterson, would go 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and a run. Jace Peterson would go on to have a pretty good game for himself. And then their center fielder, Jackie Bradley Jr., would end up going 2-for-5 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 48-33. That is the best record in the National League Central. They are currently holding on to the 2nd seed in the National League. They have now won their last 8 games, and they have won 9 of their last 10, as they now sit 6 games ahead of the second-place Chicago Cubs. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 42-39. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central, as they have now lost their last 6 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 6 whole games in the division, to give a sense of where they are. And they're the first team sitting outside of the National League wildcard race, as they trail the second-place San Diego Padres by 6.5 games for that spot. It's actually a bigger deficit for the second wildcard spot than it is the division at the moment for the Brewers, or for the Cubs, Jumping out to Denver, the Colorado Rockies hosted the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Rockies were able to pull up a 6-2 run, scoring all 6 of their runs between the 4th and 7th inning to come back and beat the Pirates. For the Pirates, the start and the loss would go to Chad Kuhl. Chad Kuhl would allow 3 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this loss, Kuhl is 2-5 on the season. In their batting lineup, their second baseman Adam Frazier would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their center fielder Bryan Reynolds would go 2 for 2 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 14th home run of the season. For the Colorado Rockies, the start and the win would go to Jon Gray. He allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, Jon Gray is 5-6 on the season. In their batting lineup, their center fielder Garrett Hampson would go 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their shortstop Brendan Rodgers would end up going 2 for 2 with a run. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 34-47. That is the fourth best record in the National League West, and that is the third worst record in the entire National League. The Rockies have won their last 3 games, and they've won 4 of their last 10. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 17 games in the division. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 29-50. That is the worst record in the National League Central. That is the second worst record in the National League, as they have now lost their last 3 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. The Pirates now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 18 games in the National League Central. Jumping out to Washington, D.C., the Nationals hosted the defending American League champs, Tampa Bay Rays, and were able to pull up a 15-6 win as they were able to put on an offensive onslaught. For the Tampa Bay Rays, the start would be given to Drew Rasmussen. Rasmussen would allow 2 earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he started, and he would strike out 2 batters. The loss would go to the Rays' first relief pitcher, Ryan Sheriff. Sheriff allowed 4 earned runs in .1 inning pitched, and with this loss, Sheriff is 0-1 on the season. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Manuel Margot, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their elite young shortstop, Wander Franco, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And then for the Washington Nationals in this matchup, the start and the win was given to Jon Lester. Lester allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this win, Jon Lester is 2-3 on the year. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Trey Turner, would actually go and hit for the cycle as he would end up going 4 for 4 with an RBI and 4 runs on the day. So, of course, he would have a very amazing game for himself. Amazing feat for Trey Turner to pull off the cycle. And when he did it, of course, that was a very big day for Trey Turner. But following him, their elite right fielder, Juan Soto, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs on the day. Alongside him, their first baseman, Josh Bell, would end up going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs alongside 2 walks. Their catcher, Yan Gomes, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman, Starlin Castro, would go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as Castro hit his 3rd home run of the season. And then the Washington Nationals second baseman, Jordy Mercer, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Mercer would hit his 1st home run of the season for the squad. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 40-38. That is the second best record in the National League East, as they have now won their last 4 games. They've won 8 of their last 10. They now trail the New York Mets by 2 games in the division for a little bit of context. And with this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 47-34. That is the second best record in the American League East, as they have now lost their last 3 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They now trail the Boston Red Sox by 3 games in the division, and they are currently holding on to the second wildcard spot in the American League, as they trail the Oakland Athletics, the current holders of the first spot, by half a game, and they sit 3 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians, who are the teams that are the first team on the outside looking in, especially for the American League wildcard spot. Jumping out to Cleveland, the Cleveland Indians hosted the Detroit Tigers, and the Tigers were able to beat the Indians 9-4, as Funkhauser would pick up his 2nd win of the season in relief for the Detroit Tigers. For the Cleveland Indians, the start went to Cal Quantrill. He allowed 4 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The loss would go to the Indians' second relief pitcher, Bryan Shaw. Shaw would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, Shaw is 2-3 on the season. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Bobby Bradley, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Bobby Bradley would hit his 7th and 8th home runs of the season. He was the only player on the Indians with more than 1 hit on the day. And alongside him in their batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Jojo Jose Ramirez, would end up going 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He would hit his 18th home run of the season. With this win, I'm messing up. For the Detroit Tigers, the start would go to Jose Urena. He would allow 4 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to the Tigers' first relief pitcher, Kyle Funkhauser, as he allowed no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched, striking out a batter. With this win, Funkhauser's 2-0 on the year. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Akil Baddoo, would go 3 for 5 with a run. Their first baseman, Jonathan Schoop, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. Their future Hall of Fame designated hitter, Miguel Cabrera, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman, Jeimer Candelaria, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their second baseman, Harold Castro, would end up going a perfect 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, alongside a walk as well. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are 35-45. That is the third best record in the American League Central, as they have now won their last 2 games. They've won 7 of their last 10. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 12 games in the division. With this loss, the Cleveland Indians are now 42-35. That is the second best record in the American League Central, as they have now lost their last 2 games. They've now lost 6 of their last 10. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 4 games in the division, and they trail the Tampa Bay Rays for the second American League wildcard spot by 3 games, as the Cleveland Indians are the first team outside looking in. Jumping out to staying within Cleveland for the second matchup of this doubleheader, just to give a little bit of context, I missed it. The Tigers would actually pick up game 2, which is why their record is sitting at 36-45, and why the Cleveland Indians are 42-35. In the second matchup for Cleveland, the start and the loss would end up going to Logan Allen. Allen would allow 2 earned runs in 3.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, Logan Allen is 1-5 on the season. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team was able to get more than 1 hit. A lot of that can be attributed to great pitching from the Tigers. The start and the win for Game 2 of this doubleheader would go to Willie Peralta. Peralta would allow 1 run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, he's 1-1 on the year. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Jonathan Schoop, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their future Hall of Fame designated hitter, Miguel Cabrera, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs, as the former Triple Crown winner would end up hitting his 7th home run of the season yesterday. And then last but not least, for the Tigers, their shortstop in this matchup, Zach Short, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Did not come up short this game. Like I said, with this doubleheader, the Tigers now hold the 3rd best record in the AL Central, and the Indians now hold the 2nd best. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies hosted the Miami Marlins, and the Marlins were able to beat the Phillies 11-6, scoring 6 of their runs in the 5th inning. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the start and the loss would go to Aaron Nola. Nola allowed 7 earned runs in 4.2 innings pitched as he struck out 11 on the day. With this loss, he's 5-5 on the season, and in the batting lineup for the Phillies, their elite right fielder, Bryce Harper, would go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs, as Bryce Harper would hit his 12th and 13th home runs of the season yesterday. For the Miami Marlins, the start would end up going to Jordan Holloway. Jordan Holloway would allow 5 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to the Miami Marlins' first relief pitcher, Zach Pop. Pop would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched. With this win, he is 1-0 on the season. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Starling Marte, would go 2 for 4 with 4 for 6, with a run. Their first baseman, Gary Cooper, would go 3 for 6 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their right fielder, Adam Duvall, would end up going 3 for 5 with an RBI and 3 runs, as the former Cincinnati All-Star would hit his 18th home run of the season. Their left fielder, Jesus Sanchez, would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then their third baseman, Joe Panik, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Panik hit his 3rd home run of the season. With this win, the Miami Marlins are now 34-45. That is the worst record in the National League East, and that is the 4th worst record in the entire National League. They've won 4 of their last 10 games, and they currently trail the New York Mets by 8.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 37-41. That is the 4th best record in the National League East, as they have now lost 7 of their last 10. They now trail the New York Mets by 5 games in the National League East at the moment. Jumping out to the Bronx, the New York Yankees hosted the Los Angeles Angels, and the Angels were able to hang up 11 on the Yankees to beat them 11-8. They scored 7 of their 9 runs in the 9th inning to come back from being down 4 and then go on to win the game by 3. It would be a Jared Walsh home run, which by that point would be his second of the day, a grand slam to tie the game at 8. It would be a 2-run single from Luis Renifo to go up by 2, and then Taylor Ward's double would make it a 3-point lead, all in the last 9th inning. For the New York Yankees in this matchup, the start would go to Domingo Germán. He allowed 3 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss would end up going to the Yankees closer, Lucas Luka. Luka would allow 3 earned runs in .2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. In their batting lineup, the only player with more, they had 2 players with more than 1 hit. Their elite designated hitter, Giancarlo Stanton, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their center fielder, Brett Gardner, would go 2 for 2 with 2 walks, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs. Brett Gardner would hit his 3rd home run of the season. With this, or before the Los Angeles Angels in this matchup, the start went to Shohei Ohtani. He allowed 7 earned runs in .2 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. The win will go to the Angels' setup pitcher, Mike Mayers. He would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitched as he struck out a batter. With this win, Mayers is 2-3 on the season. And the save will go to Raisel Iglesias as he allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out a batter. He will pick up his 15th save of the season. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Jared Walsh, would go 2 for 5 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 19th and 20th home runs of the season. Of course, one of which being the one that tied the game. And then their shortstop, Jose Iglesias, would go 2 for 5 with a run. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 39-41. That is the 4th best record in the American League West, as they have now won 4 of their last 10 games. They now trail the Houston Astros by 8.5 games in the division at the moment. And with this loss, the New York Yankees are now 41-39. Having an inverse record, they hold the 4th best record in the American League East. As the Yankees have lost 6 of their last 10 games, they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 8.5 games in the division at the moment. Jumping out to Buffalo, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Seattle Mariners, and the Mariners were able to beat the Blue Jays 9-7, thanks to a 3-run home run from Dylan Moore in the top of the 10th to give the Mariners their 42nd win of the season. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the start went to Steven Matz. He allowed 4 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The loss would go to their relief pitcher, Patrick Murphy. Murphy would end up allowing 3 runs in .1 inning pitched. With this loss, Murphy is 0-1 on the season, and in their batting lineup, their shortstop, Bo Bichette, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their center fielder, George Springer, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their right fielder, Randall Grichuk, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their third baseman, Cavan Biggio, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their first baseman, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 9th home run of the season yesterday. For the Seattle Mariners, on the other hand, the start would go to Justice Sheffield. He allowed 4 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The win would go to the Seattle Mariners setup pitcher, Kendall Graveman, as Graveman would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched. With this win, Graveman is 2-0 on the season, and the save would end up going to Drew Steckenrider. Steckenrider would end up allowing a run in an inning pitch as he struck out a batter. He would pick up his 2nd save of the season. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, J.P. Crawford, would go 3 for 6 with 2 runs. Their third baseman, Kyle Seager, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 14th home run of the season. And then their second baseman, Dylan Moore, would go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, as his 10th inning home run was his 7th of the season. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are now 42-39. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They've won 7 of their last 10 games, and they currently trail the Houston Astros by 6 games in the division. They also trail the Tampa Bay Rays for the 2nd American League wildcard spot by 5 games, as they are the 3rd team on the outside looking in, behind the Toronto Blue Jays and the Cleveland Indians. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 41-37. Record-wise, that is the third best record in the American League East, as they have only lost 2 of their last 10 games, one of the 2 being the one from yesterday. They now trail the Boston Red Sox by 7.5 games in the division, and they currently trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 4.5 games for the second American League wildcard spot, as they are the second team on the outside looking in, right behind the Cleveland Indians. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Red Sox hosted the Kansas City Royals, and the Red Sox were able to pull away with a 6-2 win, scoring 3 of their runs in the third inning. For the Kansas City Royals, the start and the loss will go to Mike Minor. He allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. With this loss, Mike Minor is 6-6 on the year. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Jorge Soler, would go 2 for 4. Their elite catcher, Salvador Perez, would go 4 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 19th home run of the season. And then for the Boston Red Sox, on the other hand, the start and the win would go to Martin Perez. Perez would allow 2 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this win, he's 6-4 on the year. In their batting lineup, their shortstop Xander Bogaerts would go 2 for 4 on the day with an RBI. Their second baseman Marwin Gonzalez will go 2 for 4 with a run. And then their elite designated hitter JD Martinez would go 1 for 3 with a walk. He finished with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 16th home run of the season. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are the first team in the American League to eclipse the 50-win threshold. They are now 50-31. They've won their last 6 games and 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 3 games ahead of the second-place Tampa Bay Rays within their own division, as they currently hold the number 1 spot in the American League if the playoffs were to start today. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are currently 33-46. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've now lost their last 8 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They now currently trail the Chicago White Sox by 14 games in the division. Jumping out to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Reds hosted the San Diego Padres, and in a game that would finish in 6 innings, the Padres would come away with a 7-5 win to pick up their 49th win of the year. For the Cincinnati Reds, the start and the loss would go to Vladimir Gutierrez. He would allow 6 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, he's 3-3 on the year. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Nick Castellanos, would go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 16th home run of the season. And then their first baseman, Joey Votto, will go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 10th home run of the year. For the San Diego Padres, the start and the win went to Joe Musgrove. He allowed 5 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this win, Joe Musgrove is 5-6 on the season, and the save will go to Tim Hill. Tim Hill would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch. He picked up his first save of the year for San Diego. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr., would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. As he would hit his 26th home run of the season. Their center fielder, Trent Grisham, would go 2 for 3 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs as Grisham hit his 9th and 10th home runs of the season. With this win, the San Diego Padres are now 49-33. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West. There are 3 teams in the National League West with 49 wins, and those are the only teams in the National League with that many wins so far this season. The Padres have won their last 3 games, and they've won 9 of their last 10. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 2.5 games in the division, and they are now holding on to the 2nd spot in the National League wild card as they trail the defending champs Los Angeles Dodgers by a game in the playoff race, and they currently sit 6.5 games ahead of the Chicago Cubs, the very first team on the outside looking in for the wild card race. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 39-40. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central as they've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers alongside the Cardinals by 8 games in the division. Jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves hosted the NL East leading New York Mets, and the Braves were able to pull up a 20-2 win to pick up their 38th win of the year. For the New York Mets, the start and the loss will go to David Peterson. He allowed 6 runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With his loss, Peterson is 2-6 on the season. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, as their elite first baseman Pete Alonso would go 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would go on to hit his 13th home run of the season. For the Atlanta Braves, the start and the win went to Max Fried. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, Max Fried is 5-4 on the year. In their batting lineup, their elite first baseman, reigning National League MVP, Freddie Freeman, would end up going 3 for 3 with a walk, an RBI, and 4 runs on the day. Freddie Freeman would have an amazing game for himself. Their elite right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr., would go 1 for 5 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 22nd home run of the season. Their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, would probably have the best hitting performance of the night. Alongside Trey Turner's cycle, Ozzie Albies would end up going 5 for 6 with 7 RBIs and 4 runs on the day. Ozzie Albies would end up hitting his 14th and 15th home runs of the season as well. And alongside him in their batting lineup, their third baseman, Austin Riley, would go 3 for 6 with 3 RBIs and a run. And then their center fielder, Guillermo Heredia, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their left fielder, Abraham Almonte, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. And their catcher, Kevin Smith, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 38-41. That is the third best record in the National League East, as they've won 5 of their last 10 games. They now trail the New York Mets by 4.5 games in the division at the moment. With this loss, the New York Mets are now 41-35. That is the best record in the National League East still, as they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They now currently sit 2 games ahead of the New York Mets, as they sit 2 games ahead of the Washington Nationals, as they currently hold the 3rd seed in the National League at the moment. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Astros hosted the Baltimore Orioles, and the Orioles were able to beat the Astros 5-2, scoring 4 of their 5 runs in the first inning. So, of course, great start for Baltimore. For the Houston Astros in this performance, the start and the loss would end up going to Luis Garcia. Luis Garcia would allow 4 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Luis Garcia is 6-5 on the year. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. And for the Baltimore Orioles, the start would go to Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey will go on to allow 2 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. And the win for Baltimore would end up going to Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, Tanner Scott is now 3-3 on the season, and the save for Baltimore would end up going to Cole Sulser. Sulser would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. In the Orioles batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their third baseman, Michael Franco, as he went 3 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are now 27-54. That is the worst record in the American League East, and that is the worst record in the American League as a whole. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 4 of their last 10, as they now currently trail the Boston Red Sox by 23 games in the division, to give a sense of what the gap in the American League is looking like. And with this loss, the Houston Astros are now 48-33. That is the best record in the American League West still, as they have lost their last 4 games and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They now sit half a game ahead of the second place Oakland Athletics, as they currently hold on to the 3rd seed in the American League record-wise at this moment. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago White Sox hosted the Minnesota Twins, and the White Sox were able to beat the Twins 13-3 as they scored in every single inning from the 2nd through the 6th. That's where they scored all 13 of their runs. For the Minnesota Twins in this matchup, the start and the loss would go to Bailey Ober. He allowed 5 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, Bailey Ober is now 0-1 on the season for the Twins. And then in their batting lineup, their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, would be the only player on the Twins with more than 1 hit. He would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 18th home run of the season. For the Chicago White Sox, the start and the win would go to Dylan Cease. He allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, Cease is 7-3 on the year. In their batting lineup, their catcher, Yasmani Grandal, would end up going 2 for 5 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. Yasmani Grandal would end up hitting his 13th and 14th home runs of the season. Their elite first baseman and reigning American League MVP, Jose Abreu, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and 3 runs as he hit his 13th home run of the season. Their right fielder, or the Chicago White Sox right fielder, Gavin Sheets, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then their left fielder, Andrew Vaughn, would end up going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs for himself. Sheets would hit his first home run, and Vaughn would hit his 7th. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are now 47-32. That is the best record in the American League Central, as they've won their last 3 games and they've won 4 of their last 10. They now currently sit 4 games ahead of the second place Cleveland Indians in the division, and they are currently holding on to the second seed in the American League right now, record-wise, or win percentage-wise. With this loss, So with this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now officially 33-45. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 4 of their last 10. They currently trail the Chicago White Sox by 13.5 games in the division. Last but not least, jumping out to Oakland, the Oakland Athletics were able to host and defeat the Texas Rangers 3-1, thanks in part to their 3 runs in the second inning, 1 of which from a sac fly and 2 of which from a home run from Frank Schwindel, his very first of the season. For the Texas Rangers in this matchup, the start and the loss will go to Colby Allard. He allowed 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5 batters on the day. With this loss, he is now 2-4 on the season as a starter. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, will go 2 for 4. And then their left fielder, Eli White, will go 2 for 4 as well. For the Oakland Athletics, the start and the win will go to Chris Bassett, as he had the top performance of the day yesterday, the top pitching performance. He would allow no earned runs and only 3 hits in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 7 batters on the day. With this win, he is now 9-2 on the season, and the save will go to Lou Trevino. He would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitched as he struck out a batter. That will be his 13th save of the season. And in the batting lineup for the A's, their shortstop Elvis Andrus was the only player with more than 1 hit. He went 2 for 4 on the day. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 48-34. That is the second best record in the American League West, as they have won 4 of their last 10 games. They now currently trail the Houston Astros by half a game in the division, and they are currently holding on to the top wildcard spot in the American League, as they currently sit half a game ahead of the second place Tampa Bay Rays in that race. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 31-49. That is the worst record in the American League West and the second worst record in the American League, as they've lost 4 of their last 10. They now currently trail the Houston Astros by 16.5 games in the division. So right now, that is what the MLB is looking like following all of yesterday's matchups. As we look forward to the MLB's 4th month of action as we enter into July, looking at what's going on today, starting at 1:05 in New York, Jordan Montgomery and the New York Yankees are going to host Griffin Canning and the Los Angeles Angels. At 1:07, the Toronto Blue Jays, led by their elite starting pitcher Hyunjin Ryu, are going to host Yusei Kikuchi and the Seattle Mariners in Buffalo. Hyunjin Ryu comes into this matchup with a 7-4 record alongside a 3.41 ERA. Yusei Kikuchi enters this matchup with a 5-3 record alongside a 3.34 ERA. At 1:10, Nate Eovaldi and the Boston Red Sox are going to host Chris Bubich and the Kansas City Royals. Nathan Eovaldi comes into this matchup with an 8-4 record alongside a 3.67 ERA. At 2:10 on ESPN Plus, Carlos Rodon and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Jose Barrios and the Minnesota Twins. Carlos Rodon enters this matchup with a 6-3 record alongside a 2.06 ERA. Jose Barrios enters this matchup with a 7-2 record alongside a 3.41 ERA. At 3:37 Eastern Standard Time, Sean Manaea and the Oakland Athletics are going to host Dane Dunning and the Texas Rangers. Sean Manaea enters his matchup with a 6-4 record alongside a 2.91 ERA. At 6:05, Zach Eflin and the Philadelphia Phillies are going to host Pablo Lopez and the Miami Marlins. Pablo Lopez enters this matchup with a 4-4 record alongside a 2.87 ERA. At 7:05, Patrick Corbin and the Washington Nationals are going to host the defending 2020 World Series champs, Los Angeles Dodgers. And Tony Gonsolin's going to make the start for them. Tony Gonsolin has not recorded a win or a loss this season, but he's currently sporting a 2.77 ERA. At 7:05 at the same time, Will Crowe and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Corbin Burns and the Milwaukee Brewers. Corbin Burns enters this matchup with a 3-4 record alongside a 2.53 ERA. At 4:10, JC Mejia and the Cleveland Indians are going to host Framber Valdez and the Houston Astros. Framber Valdez enters this matchup with a 4-1 record alongside a 2.11 ERA. At the same time, at 7:10, Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Ryan Weathers and the San Diego Padres. Ryan Weathers enters this matchup with a 3-2 record alongside a 2.47 ERA. At 5:40, Antonio Senzatella and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Adam Wainwright and the St. Louis Cardinals. Wainwright comes into this matchup with a 6-5 record alongside a 3.59 ERA. And then last but not least, at 9:40 on ESPN, Merrill Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to host Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Giants. Cueto comes into this matchup with a 6-3 record and a 3.63 ERA. So that's virtually what's going on with sports, because the Euro 2020 and the Copa America 2021 quarterfinals don't start until tomorrow. But until we get there, I want to thank everyone for, of course, helping me get what I need for the show. I want to thank ESPN, the NBA, NHL, MLB websites for giving me the facts and figures that I need in order to do this. And of course, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 40 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are done, I will come back tomorrow, Friday, July 2nd, 2021, for another episode of The Elite. But until then, thanks once again for listening to my piece, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.